Okay, let's talk about something huge. For the first time in over 50 years, we're actually going back to the moon. But here's the thing, this isn't just an Apollo reboot. No way. This is a whole new chapter in our story of exploration, and it's being powered by incredible new tech, brand new goals, and a totally new generation of pioneers.
Just let that sink in for a second. December 1972. That was the last time a human being walked on the lunar surface. That was the crew of Apollo 17. For almost everyone listening to this, those iconic footprints are just history. Something you see in old, grainy videos or read about in a textbook.
So for 50 years, that was it. The end of the story. Deep space became the playground for our amazing robotic probes. But humans, we stayed close to home. Well, that long pause is finally over. We are standing right on the edge of a new age of human exploration. And its name? Artemis.
And this is the beast that's going to take us there. Meet the Space Launch System, or SLS for short. To put it simply, this is the most powerful rocket NASA has ever built. It's an absolute monster, and its entire job is to hurl astronauts and their ship out beyond Earth's gravity all the way back to the moon.
So the big question is, how does all this new stuff stack up against the legendary Apollo program? Let's get into it, and we'll start with the machines. Because honestly, the jump in technology here is it's kind of hard to wrap your head around. Right off the bat, you can see this is a huge upgrade. The new Orion spacecraft, it's not just a shiny new Apollo capsule. It can carry 4 astronauts instead of 3, it can stay in space for up to 21 days, and it's got a whopping 50% more living space inside. And that extra room isn't about luxury, it's about being able to do longer, more ambitious science missions. Okay, let's talk about pure, raw power. The Saturn V rocket was an absolute legend, right? A total beast. At the time, it was the most powerful machine on Earth. Well, the new SLS? It generates 15% more thrust. That is a staggering amount of extra force just to get off the ground and break free from Earth's pull. But if you think that's impressive, wait till we get to the computers. This is where it gets just mind-blowing. The Apollo guidance computer was a marvel for the 1960s, a total game changer. Orion's computers, though, they are 20,000 times faster. No, that's not a typo. And get this, if the speed doesn't blow you away, the memory will. Orion has 128,000 times more memory. It's almost a meaningless number. It's so big. We're not just talking about an upgrade here. This is a complete revolution. It's a difference between the very dawn of computing and the supercomputers we have in our pockets today. But it's not all about raw power and big numbers. Orion is just plain smarter. It's built to last. For example, Apollo ran on fuel cells which have a limited lifespan. Orion? It's got these huge solar arrays for renewable power. It's got way better shielding to protect the crew from deep space radiation. The cockpit is all digital, a glass cockpit, not a bunch of analog dials. And the software? Wow, it can fly itself and make real-time course corrections. This is a ship designed for a marathon, not a sprint. So the tech is obviously incredible. But you know what the biggest difference is between Apollo and Artemis? It's not the rockets or the computers, it's the why. Why are we doing this? The mission itself is totally different. I love this quote. Artemis is the Apollo of this generation. It just nails it, doesn't it? Think about how Apollo defined the 60s. That's what Artemis is poised to do for us, right now. It's about inspiring a whole new generation to look up at the sky and wonder, what if? And that really gets to the core of it. Apollo, at its heart, was a sprint. It was a Cold War race to prove technological dominance, to plant a flag before the other guy. Artemis, on the other hand, is a marathon. The goal isn't just to visit, it's to stay. It's about building a sustainable base, creating partnerships with private companies, and learning how to live off-world so we can take that next giant leap to Mars. Okay, so what's the next big step on this journey? Well, it's a mission called Artemis II. And this is the big one, folks, because for the first time since 1972, there are going to be people on board. And here they are, the crew that's about to make history. You've got Commander Reed Wiseman, pilot Victor Glover, and mission specialist Christina Koch from NASA. And they're joined by mission specialist Jeremy Hansen from the Canadian Space Agency. What a team! These 4 incredible people are going to be the first humans to fly to the moon in over half a century. So what's the plan for them?
while Artemis II is, at its core, a test flight. A very, very important one. It's about a 10-day mission, and the whole point is to put the Orion spacecraft through its paces with a crew inside. Now, they're not going to land. Instead, they're going to loop around the far side of the moon, pushing every single system, life support, navigation, communications, all of it, to its limit. They have to make sure this ship is rock solid and safe before anyone tries to land.
So here's how their trip will play out. First, that massive launch puts them into a high Earth orbit where they can check out all the systems. Then comes the big moment, the translunar injection burn. That's the engine fire that flings them out of Earth orbit and on a 4-day journey to the moon. They'll do their flyby, and then it's a long coast back home, ending in a fiery, high-speed re-entry and a splashdown in the Pacific. Every single part of this plan is a critical test.
But you know, Artemis II isn't just about testing the capsule. It's also about setting the stage for everything that comes after. It's about laying the groundwork for science and, really importantly, for international collaboration. And get this, even on this critical test flight, there's a ton of science packed in. Tucked away on the rocket are these little secondary payloads called CubeSats. They're basically tiny satellites from international partners, and they'll be doing their own science missions along the way. It just goes to show you, this is a global effort right from the get-go. So once Artemis II comes home safe and sound and proves the hardware works, the stage is set. The next mission, Artemis III, will be the one. That's the one that finally puts boots back on the moon. And it's going to be an absolutely historic moment, because it will be the mission that lands the first woman and the first person of color on the lunar surface. So here's the game plan, the Artemis roadmap. Artemis I, back in 2022, was the big, uncrewed dress rehearsal, and it was a huge success. Next up, around 2026, is Artemis II, that first crewed flyby we've been talking about. And that paves the way for the big one, Artemis III, the landing, around 2027. And after that, we're talking a lunar space station called the Gateway, and eventually, the first human mission to Mars. And this view, man, it just says everything, doesn't it? Seeing our beautiful blue planet rising over the gray, dusty horizon of the moon. It's a view no human has seen with their own eyes in a lifetime. But the point this time isn't just to go take a picture and come home. The goal is to build a future where this view, this perspective, becomes a regular part of what humanity does. Which brings us to the ultimate question, really. Apollo was incredible. It proved we could do the impossible, that we could visit another world. But Artemis is asking a totally different and maybe even bigger question. It's asking, what happens now that we're planning to stay? What are we going to discover? What new science, what new tech, what new insights about our own place in the cosmos will we find now that we're going back not as visitors, but as residents?